this week I want to talk about shifts, but not necessarily knowing what the shift is and how important that is. Hey, I'm Eloise Ansell. I'm an intuitive healer based in the UK. Welcome back to my channel. Um, so I started releasing my abundance library last week. You've probably seen a video on it if you watched last week's video. A few people signed up. They've been using the scripts. I'm already getting some life-changing messages from people. So, if you want to jump in while it's still 50%, do. Because there's one of the scripts, two people have already come back and gone about. So jump into that if you want to do some tapping and shift your money stuff. So I got back to my desk today and I've been looking at all the feedback from the EFT abundance scripts and some client sessions I've done recently. And one of my clients was commenting, and I thought, oh, this would be good to talk about. She was saying that something had come up in the session, actually, something specific had come up as home play for her to do some fascial release, like manually, physically on her body. And that doesn't come up very much. Like, I don't normally give people homework. Yeah, I might get them to do certain breathing patterns before they go to bed, things like that. But it's not often that I actually give them, like, their body rather than me. Their body gives them homework that is like physical, fascial work. And, there aren't many areas of the body where you could do that comfortably without a little bit more training or awareness. But something came up for her and it was really interesting. I was like, oh, okay, well, let's see if she does it. And she did. So, and she was like, oh, it didn't feel like it was easy, but things were shifting. She was getting the normal kind of feedback and shifts that she gets, like, that she knows something's going on in a session. She knew her body was healing, but there was all this gurgling going on and there was all this extra stuff coming up. And she was like, wow, there was a lot shifting from that, but I don't know what it is. And I replied back going, great. We don't always need to know what the shift's about. Like the healing journey, especially if you're having sessions with me, the body knows. It knows why you want that thing, it knows when you want it, it knows what order and sequence we do things in to release and clear stuff. And it isn't logical. It doesn't always make sense. And we don't always know. We can't see that bigger picture that your body can and know why and, the wherefores of this order and sequence. It's really fascinating. I mean, I see it in my journey. Sometimes I have a session and it's like 3 months later and I go, oh, hang on, that shifted. Oh, I wonder if it was that session. But you can't really label it because there's been so much that's gone on in between. It's kind of interesting and fun. But we notice, like, we start making different decisions, or we start eating differently, or we just start exercising more, or like things change and shift without like effort. And we don't need to know which session did it. We don't need to know what unlocked it. And in the same way, if we flip that, when we have a session, we don't need to know what it's working on. Sometimes the body wants to highlight and tell us, like, sometimes it'll highlight, this session is releasing money, and then we spend the whole time in the pancreas. You're like, well, okay, we wouldn't have known it was about money unless you told us. So sometimes it kind of wants to give us a heads up. But most of the time, we don't know what we're unlocking. And that's where the magic happens. Because we have an intent. Like, you come to a session with an intent. I have an intent to give you, radical well-being, or whatever we want to call it, and abundance and all the rest of it. But you come to it with an intent as well, and then the body adds into it. So there's like three observers with three different points of view of what wants to be shifted, and then the priority kind of comes up from that. And normally the body wins with the priority, but group consciousness could have a priority as well. There are so many layers to it, and the evolution of Earth and people, and who knows what else is contributing and dictating the agenda. But we don't need to understand or know what's changing from a session. We just have to trust the process. And that can be really difficult if you're someone who needs to know and understand and dissect it. It's, it's like emotions come up sometimes and you don't know what it's about. You just feel, and yeah, it just comes up and you're like, oh, wow, that's interesting. But if I sit and analyze and go, oh, I'm feeling this frustration. Where's that coming from? What's that about? What do I need to do to clear it? And da 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 da. You're holding on to it. But if you just go, okay, I'm feeling frustrated in this moment. Let's breathe. Okay, what am I feeling now? Like, you're not focusing on it and keeping it. It's like if people come to a session and they really analyze and get obsessed with something that came up in the session, they're not going to let it go. They're not going to release it. So we have to come from interesting point of view. We have to come from, oh, that's interesting. Now what? And not get too caught up in the having to acknowledge it, having to understand it all and know the big picture, because we never can see that. We never can see that bigger picture, but your body can. It knows what's happening in 6 months. It knows what's happening in 2 years' time. It knows what's gonna, what's going on. You don't. It knows what's best for you. And I 100% trust my body. It's yeah, it's kind of, it's hard to put into words, this energy sometimes, but like if something happens, I'm like, great. I don't need to know why, but I know it's for my greater good. Does that make sense? So, after all the lockdowns and everything, I broke my foot. And I was like, okay, I ended up having another like 2 years of my own in my flat. Um, and I was like, well, there's got to be some reason. And now I kind of look back at it and I go, well, maybe it was for that reason, or maybe it was for that, or at least, I didn't have to do this and da da da. But I don't need to know. Just trust my body. Someone asked me the other day if my foot was okay, and I'm like, yeah, it's been 5 years. Like, it's like, well, I injured it, and then I healed it, and I moved on. It's not an ongoing issue. And I'm like, oh, does everyone think it's an ongoing issue? It's this energy of thinking things have to stay put. Really interesting. Anyway, I'm digressing. But we don't have to know why. And we have to give up the control of wanting to know why sometimes in order to just let the healing happen. Trust the process, keep going, and let it unravel the way it wants to. I've really given up trying to understand and logicalize all of this. Is that a word? It's just, things unwind and we just trust the process. So, like, my client doesn't need to know exactly what she's releasing. She knows releasing and healing is occurring, and that's enough for her, and that's brilliant. I love that she's in that space where she's not analyzing it and trying to break it down and make sense of it. And when we let go of that need of control, when we let go of that having to get it right and do the right healing and understand it all, and like it's like having to have control over everything. It's like I have to know what that session changed. I have to know what that unlocked for me. Otherwise, it didn't happen. When we let go of that control, that's when the healing happens. It's beyond words. It's beyond understanding. It's beyond knowing. It's just kind of being vulnerable to the process and trusting the process and trusting the body's got our back, and just letting it unravel. Yeah, you really don't have to understand. So when emotions come up, just be present with them, feel them, sit with them, be them. And then in the next moment, they'll probably disappear. If you have to understand where it came from and unlock it, and you're just holding on to it. Just let it go. Just be interesting point of view with it. That's tool from Access Consciousness, by the way. Yeah, it's the beauty of life. Like nature is abundant. Nature will just constantly grow and expand and be. You don't have to do anything, and we're the same. Like we will naturally, in our natural state, heal. But when the mind tries to dictate and put its impressions on it, its judgments, its belief systems, its energy of maybe self-control or sabotage or whatever, it just squashes that process. I mean, it will be happening anyway, but maybe it's not us being an allowance of it really being abundant. Like just allowing the process to happen, allowing it to unravel, allowing life to allowing the healing and life to unfold. We have to let go of control. And it's the hardest thing. But yeah, I was excited. My client was just like, yay, something's happening. Great. I was like, yeah, just let more unfold, keep going. It's so fun. I'll catch you next week.